Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Today I want to show you why we prefer non-permanent mods to our RV. I kind of think about it like going to the fair and getting a temporary tattoo instead of a real tattoo. We've been doing this RV thing for 30 years now. We've owned over 10 of these things, and over those years, and all of them, we've made just a ton of improvements, or what you guys would call mods. And because of all those mods, we've learned the hard way that Lynn and I really prefer non-permanent fixes to problems. So we're getting ready to head out on another trip, and I'm spending a few days correcting all the things that weren't quite right with the RV when we took it on our last trip. And the one I'm going to show you is one that's a simple one, but it's been a pain in my derriere since the day we've owned this RV. There are not very many electrical outlets in it. And where the electrical outlets are, if you put your bed down like we do and turn it into a king-size bed, well, you just don't have any back here in this back portion. So about a week ago, I set out to fix that. Create the very best system I could. And like most guys, it was going to include cutting holes in the wall and drilling holes and running electrical line. But in preparing for that and planning for how much I needed and what size, I figured there was an easier way to do it that's non-obtrusive and will not be permanent. By the way, I'm Owen of Van Trekking Lifestyle, and I'm really glad you're here. I'm going to video this entire process, and I'm betting that not everything is going to go as planned. So keep your fingers crossed that it both works and I get to keep all my fingers. So you may not have the exact issue I've got. And I hope you don't, but after watching what I'm going to do today, I hope at least when you go to do your next mod, what'll pop into your mind is, let's figure out the simplest approach and something that's not permanent. At least that should be your first goal. Also, before I begin doing the project, I want to apologize for the mess that's all around me. Because when you take the bedding off here in the back of this really small RV, there's just nowhere to put it. I don't want to take it back inside, so everything's stacked up and piled up, and there's things everywhere, and there's things out here on the sink, and you know, that's just how things start out. It has to get messy before it can get clean. I could clean it all up, but I want you to see the real picture. This is what has happened to this point, and this is what's going to happen no matter how it turns out. Now, sometimes you have no choice and you just have to drill a hole, or you have to take something out, or you have to cut a hole somewhere, and something that costs you a lot of money. I've had to do that in the past. Like in the Echo that we had before we bought our Airstream, I took the entire front entertainment center out and I moved it to the back, which required cutting a bunch of holes, making things fit just right, mounting things where they were not intended to be mounted, and I think it turned out really, really well. And also in the case of this base camp, I had to drill a hole right here because we have an Acuva water filter and I needed this faucet to be able to come out here. So that's more of a permanent fix. So first, why is this way of doing a mod better for us? Well, number one, knowing us, we'll sell this thing and we'll be on to something else one day, either soon or months down the road, or maybe even a year down the road. But the chances that we're going to keep this forever and need a forever mod, they're pretty small. Two, we don't always travel the same way. Sometimes we'll boondock, sometimes we'll stay in resorts, and the mods you need to have in place, well, they kind of need to sometimes fit the style of camping you're doing right then. Three, you're not going to believe this. Most guys won't admit it, but I don't always get things right when I start drilling holes and cutting holes in the wall and doing installations. So if I can do it temporarily, I take that completely off the table and I don't have to risk messing up an expensive RV. Four, sometimes when we live with the mod that we thought was going to be perfect, it's not. So if it's a temporary mod, we can take it out and we never have to deal with it again. But if we put something in here permanently and it turns out that didn't solve the problem, well, we just created either less space, more of a mess, or we have to take it out and leave some kind of hole somewhere that we don't want to be in the RV. So today the issue is this. I have a TV up here. I have an electrical outlet right here. I need to get the power from this up to the TV. Now you'd think the simplest approach would be to take an extension cord. And this is the extension cord that I've had plugged in for many of the trips that we've been on. But here's the problem. When I move my clothes container in and out from underneath the bed, it hits this down here and it knocks it loose, which means this, everything resets. Starlink is plugged into this, the TV's plugged into this, and at worst, this thing just becomes a nuisance where I have to crawl back underneath it several times and figure out what's going on. At worst, this could short and cause a fire. So this is something I need to address. And to solve it, I thought as long as I've got everything off of here, I may as well just do it the way someone that really knows what they're doing would do, which is tap into this outlet, create another outlet back here I can use for Starlink, and then create another outlet back behind the TV. Run a bunch of electrical line, cut and splice and do all that. Oh, that's just great. That's the way I'm going to do it. I've got plenty of time. That's the way I'm going to do it. So I went on to Amazon and I went to Lowe's and I created a pile of things I was going to buy. It all got here. I started sorting through it. I came out here to measure 2 or 3 times and cut once. That's the way I always try to do it. I came out here to measure, and what I figured out was there's an easier way to do this if I just had a thin electrical cord that had outlets on it. So I went back onto Amazon and I tried to figure out if there was something that would work the way I need it to work. And this is what I found. This thing has more outlets than I'll ever need, and it's got additional USB plugs, and it's got a very, very flat plug that goes up against the wall that will be less likely to be pushed out. And all I thought was, since it's so thin, guess what? It'll actually fit in the gap in the door or the cover that goes over where all the electronics are, and it can run on the outside until it runs inside and then up this wall. Let's see if it works. So that's the whole process. That's what I'm going to try to do today. This is our temporary solution. Stick with me while I see if this is really going to work. So here's what I've got behind the TV. You can see the wall is here. There's speakers, there's other things, and there's this grill that provides ventilation down to this electronics area that's under here. When I lift this up, get this, excuse me for the noise, but when I lift this up, you can see here's all the good blue stuff that's in here, which by the way is really cool that they use that. And here's that outlet. My thought is this: I'll replace this white cord with the black one, run it up to here, run it inside so that it goes in that hole right there, up the wall, out that little grill, and then I'll mount it right there. Now the way I'm looking at this, this should be a simple, easy to do project. It will not be permanent, and it's something I could take out. A win-win-win. You see, it's a mess in here, isn't it? So, but anyway, that's what I'm gonna try to do now. So I'll get to work on it. I'll get back to you in just a minute. Okay, so now I need to take the grate off of that vent, and let's start working on putting that up there. So far, so good. Okay, that's not working. Where did that go? Not as simple as I thought it was going to be. It's got to go further over to the left. Okay, plan B. I'm going to remove part of the window here now, run the cable up through here into a gap that's here and then in. Not what I originally planned to do, but I think it will work out just fine, and it's nothing that's permanent in here, and I think that'll work out well. So that's plan B. See, things always change, don't they? But this is what I'm going to try to do now. Okay, I have it routed up there. All the screws are back in. I cut my finger a little bit, cut my thumb a little bit, and I have one little bloody spot there. That's all. I'd say that's a success because I still have all my fingers, and right now I'm going to plug up the TV and see if the electricity is really going up to that outlet. And then I will mount the outlet with two-sided tape on the wall so I can remove it if I need to later. But right now, I think it's in there pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with this. And okay, let's see if we have power. We do. We have power on the DC side and the AC side of this. Should be perfect. If you can see, it's routed back underneath this molding for this window all the way down to there. I couldn't get it tucked completely in right here, but then it's tucked in behind the wall. It's tucked in back behind here and ends up back here. Goes right behind that door that's on there. That's a success. I don't care who you are. That's a success for me. I'll put the vent back together and come back and share with you my final thoughts about this project. Well, there you have it. TV's working, Apple TV's working. We have a really clean installation. I have 4 more USB ports I can use, and I have 6 more outlets I can use if I need to. Right now, all I'm doing is just plugging the TV and Apple TV in, but the main thing is it's not a permanent solution. It's like a temporary tattoo, if you know what I mean. Also, I don't have to crawl underneath this bed to plug this plug back in maybe 4 or 5 times during every trip as I pull it out and push it in and knock it loose. No more of that. It looks really neat, and I'm really happy with it. You guys remember when I talked earlier about removing the entertainment center from our old Echo? It came with the TV up front, and we wanted to use that as storage. So we took it out, we cut holes in there, we moved it to the back. Here's a video I'll link to right up above and in the description. That's how I did that. Now, I screwed up a lot of stuff on that one. I just about cut a hole through the roof. I came just so close to doing that. I almost dropped the TV. I actually caught it with my foot, and I almost cut my finger off. All good content, right? And all good reasons why Lynn likes for me to do temporary mods instead of permanent mods. Well, thanks for watching. I sure hope you'll give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That makes an old man happy. And leave me a comment down below. Let me know what the most non-permanent fix you've made to your RV that's made a huge difference, like ours. Hope we see you down the road. We'll be watching our TV without cords hanging everywhere. Pretty happy.